Hey everybody. It's been a couple weeks since I last posted, and the reason is that I've just been going through a lot of stuff here lately, a lot of personal issues with employment and money and that kind of thing. So I was not motivated in the least to do anything besides focus on dealing with the stress and where my next meal was going to come from and where I was going to eventually earn a living. So that is not completely ironed out yet. However, things seem to be looking up. So, wishing myself luck. Last I spoke, it was the end of high school, graduation, and then what to do then, where to take your life. The only thing I had known up to that point was music and the guitar, and there just wasn't anything else in the world that interested me. So there were very few ideas floating around about what to do at that time. I was living in East Texas, so it was suggested that I go to North Texas State, which was, at that time at least, was said to have a really excellent music program. And looking back on it, I probably should have gone and gotten a serious, valid musical education, something that I could use to back myself up on all of my other pursuits. But the only thing I could really think about was getting back up to Kansas, where I had a set of friends, where my first band that I played with and I put together was, and really my closest friends were living up there. And so all through the last couple years of high school, all my thoughts were getting out and going up there. I didn't have a plan of what to do when I got up there, play gigs and stuff, but I don't know that I ever had thoughts that it would go anywhere. So I was still in this place of recovery from a lot of self-doubt, and at this time I was attaching myself to anybody who I could call a friend, and I would attach myself like a parasite and wouldn't let them go, even if the relationship was not necessarily a healthy one. And that will come more to light here in just a few minutes. So my motivations were few. I wanted to be a rock star. That's all I knew. I could play guitar okay, and I wanted to go up to Kansas with my friends and play in the band. It's really as short-sighted as I was. That's as far as I could think. So I came up with the idea of going to a junior college that was there and then taking 2 years of music courses there. And my parents eventually bended to that. And looking back, they probably shouldn't have, but then I think they were probably aware of some things even that I wasn't aware of at that time and the problems it might cause. So after high school, I packed up and headed north to Kansas, and I roomed in a little duplex with one of the bandmates, and it was, except for the fact that I had this looming feeling that I didn't have enough money and didn't know how to earn money in a way that I wanted to earn money. I mean, I could have gone out and gotten a job, but my mind was totally focused on just playing the guitar. So the band, we started playing again, and we had a ball. I mean, it was my first taste of real freedom. I had a pretty nice car. I had this black, I think it was an '84 Camaro, and I, things were pretty cool. Um, there was one event that happened that I think scarred me for the rest of my life, and that is, people that know me close know that I have a bit of a short man's complex. Um, I've never been anything much over 5'7", and as much as people like to argue with me, um, height for men makes a huge difference in many areas of life, and I've experienced it, so I know that it's true. At least for me, and my confidence levels of where they were at the time. But they were about to soar to an all-time low when my roommate's girlfriend, who I met, I think it was very early on when I moved up there, met her for the first time, and the first words out of her mouth was, "God, you're short." And for somebody that was already suffering a lot of complexes, that was one of the most devastating blows that I could have gotten. And so that has haunted me and continues to haunt me to this day. The one isolated comment. I remember exactly when, where it happened, who I was with, what time of day. It was just it's imprinted in my memory. And you can argue with me whether or not that was a healthy way to deal with it, but it's just, it is what it was, or it was what it was. So I ended up going to college there. It was a junior college. It wasn't. I don't think it was a very good junior college. It was very small. The music program was very minimal at best, and right away I stood out, I think, because of my enthusiasm and the fact that I played guitar, and I wasn't necessarily in it to be a music teacher and to play in the jazz band there. I didn't really have any inclinations of that until the jazz band teacher caught wind that I played guitar. I think I auditioned for the jazz band because he was so excited to have a guitar, and I didn't know the first thing about playing jazz music or modes or anything guitar related to that, so it never really came to fruition. But I mean, I got some general knowledge out of it. I ended up being called in to tutor other students in music theory, so that was kind of a cool deal. And just the fact that I was playing, and we were actually gigging with the band at that time, and I think that's perhaps one of the key moments or key ideas of what made this such a great time, because I wasn't worried about money. I wasn't worried about the future. I wasn't worried about my past at that time. All I cared about was playing the guitar, having fun with the band, laughing with the guys, and going off on these rowdy, adventurous music trips that we go to play gigs out of the city there. And, and there was as much alcohol and girls and just all night parties as you can imagine, and it was something. There's some moments there of laughter that are forever imprinted in my memory, and that mostly comes with another step that happened, which my childhood friend Dan, I'll just say, we ended up getting him in the band after the guy I was rooming with left the band. He was sort of the other guitar player, keyboard player. So my childhood friend Dan, we got him in the band, and he ended up moving in and taking over as roommate. So he was my roommate, and we had some of the funnest times that I ever had in my life. We had real similar senses of humor and just nerdy as all get out, and we used to play with the tape recorder, kind of like what people do now with, you know, cameras and YouTube. And we were doing all of that with the tape recorder back then, and we were creating these stories and memes and funny little repetitive sort of like audio stuff, and we would just howl all the time at it. It was just great fun. Some weekend nights we would just get, you know, a 12 pack of some kind of beer and get drunk and play on the tape recorder all night long. And I still have many of those cassette tapes at the time. I don't think there were even VCRs out just yet. I think they were just starting. The video stores were just starting to let you rent these VCRs that came in these huge black plastic suitcases. It was insane. But we had a lot of fun at this time. Another couple key moments, I think, in terms of music. One of my "oh my God, I should have" moments came from the fact that Martina McBride, the country singer, also was raised in the same town that I was living in, same town that I was raised for several years in. And so she had a band, and they were kind of rival bands in a sense with us, although it was a little bit different material that they were doing and covering. We were a little bit more on the heavier rock side. They were a little bit more on the lighter sort of country rock and soft rock side. But I had distinguished myself quite a bit in at least that part of the state that I was living in, of, you know, being an okay guitar player. And, you know, I was into a lot of the flashy stuff that was going on at the time with Van Halen and Ozzy Osbourne's guitar players, Randy Rhoads, Jakey Lee, all these guys. So I kind of ended up getting this reputation, probably more so than I even remember it. I should say that backwards, but it really wasn't. There were people that would come up to me from other bands I had no idea, and they, you know, say they heard about me, and so it was neat. The recognition was very cool. But Martina knew of us. We knew of her. I mean, we knew her. We knew the musicians in their band. We'd hang out at the same guitar store, and they, I think, got an idea to take their band a little bit more to the professional level and move up to Kansas City. But they wanted to get sort of an edge in their band, something that's newer and kind of flashier. And so they came to me and asked me if I wanted to join the band, which meant moving up to Kansas City with them. And what I thought was loyalty, but really looking back, it was just fear of the unknown, fear of leaving what I knew and was comfortable. I should have gone, even if it wouldn't have lasted that long. It would have been a great experience, and I would have gotten to a little bit better ability to network as a musician that way, I think, in the long run. Another reason I should have kind of brought this up earlier was, after all of high school, not really dating per se, on a you know, semi-modest level, there was there was a girl that I saw that went to school with two of my bandmates. I think we saw her at a football game or something I went with them to. And for some serendipitous reason, I knew that was a girl that I was going to marry. I mean, it was like a flash of lightning. It hit me. There was just no other way to look at it for me. I was going to marry this girl. We met at a party a little later on after she kind of knew that the crush that I had on her. And I think she took sympathy on me more than anything in the beginning. because I was so shy and quiet and kind of to myself. But she was the opposite: loud, boisterous, everything I was not. And she liked me, and for that reason, I attached myself like a hawk catching a mouse. I mean, to say I was whipped, I wouldn't even put it in those words. It was just that I was so grateful to have somebody like me that, and she was pretty, she was nice, she was popular, her family was fairly wealthy, and her sister was a movie star at that time. That anytime things got close to us breaking up, it destroyed me completely, and I'd be in tears for days. But somehow we weathered through a lot of those storms. I don't know how, and our destinies, which were going to converge here in a little while, probably in the next video, in a way that I can't even begin to describe or understand. It just astounds me to this day that we stuck through all that and ended up in the same destination, same place. But to wrap it up, basically, at the end of the 2 years, college was basically over. It was decision time. And I had been eyeing this school in Hollywood, California called Musicians Institute, which GIT, or Guitar Institute of Technology, was a subset of this school. It was kind of a brand new thing, but it was just the idea of it. It really grabbed me. I was really interested, and at that time, professional musicians had two places to go, basically, and that was New York or LA. There were, I think, New Orleans and Kansas City, and there were some other spots, but they were a little bit more jazz oriented, not really in my wheelhouse. What I wanted to do, I knew I had to go to LA. So, the case was made that, do I stay here with my friends and play in this band, and while we might be having fun, I will end up going nowhere and having no sense of career or achievements really out of it, other than just the fun that we had. So I had to start thinking, what am I going to do with this? How am I going to mold my guitar playing, my music interest into the unfolding of my life? So it just so happened at this time, and it was not the reason that I went, that Julie, my girlfriend at that time, was also going to Hollywood, California. And because she was going out there to join one of the dance academies, which her sister had been to before she got into movies, and she kind of wanted to follow in her sister's footsteps, I believe. And if she would have went, and I wouldn't have gone for any other reason, I wouldn't have gone, because that's a hell of a move for a 19-year-old kid. But I was so focused on this idea of going out to California and becoming a professional guitar player that it was just pure irony that we were going to end up in the same place, Hollywood, California, which is where I ended up moving once I went back to Texas with my folks for the summer and got a summer job and earned some money on which to move out there with, although I didn't earn near enough for what I was eventually going to find out that I would need. So I know this is a little bit long, but I missed the last couple weeks, and I wanted to wrap up these sort of pre-college years before I move out to California in one video. So we'll see you next time with more stories from my strange and wonderful life. Thanks. Bye.